So today's story is the story of the greedy man. Before we start, do you guys know what the Bodhisattva means? So our Buddha, when he becomes the Buddha, the life before, all the lives before he becomes the Buddha, he is called the Bodhisattva, which means the Buddha in training. Okay? So he's the Bodhisattva. In the last life, so life number -1, before he becomes the Buddha, he was training to do the gift of charity. So for the whole life, no matter what anyone asked him, he would give it away. So when he was younger, he gave away all his toys to any friends who asked for it. One day when he was younger, he got a white elephant as a gift from another country because he was the prince. And the white elephant was magical. It helped rain fall for the country and all these things. Well, other countries had no rain, so they wanted to get rain. So they thought about it, said, hey, I heard there's a prince in that country that gives away things when you ask him for it. Well, they went to ask him for the white elephant, and he gave it away. So the people in his country got really mad because he gave away the special thing of the country. So they kicked him out of the country. So he had to go live in the mountains. Now, we're going to move to another person, another scene. Now, there was another guy. His name was Chu Chok. Can you say that name? Chu Chok. He was a fat old man. He had walked with a limp, and he was very greedy, but he was also kind of poor. Well, one day he got arranged to marry a young, beautiful girl because the girl's family owed him a big debt. So he married a young, beautiful girl. Well, the beautiful girl would go to the market, and every time she'd go into the market, everyone at the market would make fun of her and say, oh, look at you, you're so pretty, but you have to do all the work yourself. You're so pretty, but you have no servants, you're so poor. Well, she would go home every day and complain and complain and complain. Well, Chu Chok listened to her complaint and says, well, what do you want me to do? I can't afford any servants, I don't have any money. She says, I heard that there's a prince living in the far mountains that has 2 children. He will give people anything that people ask him. You should go ask him for his kids to be our slaves. And so Chu Chok went to the mountains and found the prince. When he found the prince, he talked to the prince and said, hey, so I heard that you give away things if people ask you for it. And he's like, it's true. He said, well, can I have your children as my slaves? The prince stopped for a second. And everything that he's ever given in his life, his games, his toys, his elephant, it was hard, but it wasn't that hard. But now, this guy is asking for my 2 children. The prince thought about it really hard, but he decided, you know, I want to be the Buddha, so I have to finish my goal. So he says, yes, you can have my children as your slaves. The 2 children, they were listening, they were hiding. You know what the 2 children's names were? Kanha and Charlie. So Kanha and Charlie were listening. They were really, really smart. They were hiding behind the wall, and they heard that the prince was going to give them away. So they went to go hide in the lake. But they knew that if they ran to the lake, they would be able to find them because of their footprints, right? So they were very smart. When they got to the lake, they turned around and walked backwards into the lake. So it looks like the footprints are coming up, even though the footprints are going down. And they were hiding under the water with the bamboo in their mouth, and they were breathing out of the straw. So no one could find them. Well, the prince says, Kanha, Charlie, come. I gave you away to this man. Come go with him. And they didn't come. So Chu Chok was accusing the prince of being a liar. And being a liar was a really bad thing back then. You know, you're a liar, you're a liar. And then the prince says, I'll go help you find them. And the prince was very smart too. So he saw the footprints going down, right? But he saw that they started at a certain point and they didn't continue. So he realized that his kids were so smart, they walked in backwards. So he asked the kids to come out of the water, and they did. So the prince gave them away to Chu Chok. Chu Chok was very mean. He tied a rope around their necks, and he hit them with a sash to make them walk faster when the kids were crying. Now, when the prince saw this, he got so mad, he almost pulled out his sword and cut him down. But then, he remembered that I'm training to become the Buddha, so he had to control his anger. Well, as they were walking, Kanha, the little sister, was so mad that she made a promise to the world. She says, to this world, I never want to be born with this guy as his son ever again, as his child ever again. Charlie, the wise brother, says, Kanha, don't say that. That's our father. We've been born with him many, many lives. Don't say that. But Kanha says, I don't care. I'm so mad at my dad that I never want to see him again. No matter what big brother Charlie said, Kanha wouldn't listen. Well, here's the thing. As they were being dragged home, what happened was the angels saw this. And the angels protect good people. And the prince was one of the best people in the world. And Chuchok was taking his children, which was very rude, and also beating his children, which was very rude also. So they made it so that Chuchok got lost, and he couldn't find his way home, and he walked to a castle. And when he saw the castle, he says, hey, I need some food and some place to rest. Well, the people at the castle, when they looked out, they saw Kanha and Charlie. Turns out the king of that castle was Kanha and Charlie's grandfather. So they let the kids in, and they tried to say, how can we get the kids away from Chuchok? Because he technically owns them right now. How can we get them away? Well, they decided to come up with a plan. They saw that Chuchok was very greedy. So they invited him to an all-you-can-eat feast. You can eat as much food as you want, order anything you want. Well, because Chuchok has been poor his whole life and never had a lot of food, he never saw that much food in his whole life. The whole room, like this whole temple, filled with all the desserts, all the food, all the candy that you can think of. Well, Chuchok saw that and started eating, and started eating, and started eating. He was so full that his belly was so full he could barely breathe. But he was scared that he would never get to eat this again. He would never get to eat royal food again. So he kept eating even though he was full. He kept eating, he kept eating. He ate so much that guess what happened? His stomach exploded and he died. And that was the example of the greedy man. Now, what does this story teach you? This story teaches you that if you only care about greed, I want, it could hurt you. Look what happened. He wanted a beautiful wife. He got it. But then she convinced him to do something bad. He wanted 2 slaves, and he went to ask for it from a holy person. He hurt the slaves because he wanted to walk faster. And now he wanted all this food, and he ate so much because he just wanted it. He wanted a lot of things, and eventually his want killed him. But what did he forget to do? He forgot to think about if it's good or bad. He only decided what he wanted. He didn't care who it hurt, or whether it was right or whether it was wrong. So the moral of this story is, you can want things, but you have to want things that doesn't hurt other people. You have to want things and not too much that it hurts you. When you want something, you have to think, is this good for me? Is this good for other people? You understand? Satu?